Welcome to Startup Brainframe, where we translate brain science for startups who want to build the future.
Great to be diving in again.
Today, we're really digging into this idea of neurofounders. So founders who consciously use brain science in how they build their companies and even train their own brains.
Yeah, the idea is they can seriously outperform more traditional founders. It's about leveraging that internal hardware, so to speak.
Exactly. And we've got 3 mini case studies that really illustrate this. Plus, stick around because we'll give you 3 actionable tips to start thinking like a neurofounder yourself.
Sounds like a plan. It's not just theory. It's about understanding the cognitive engines driving everything: decisions, leadership, teamwork.
Integrating that understanding gives a real edge, doesn't it?
Absolutely. A competitive advantage.
Okay, so let's unpack this first case study. It's about technical decision-making, especially under pressure.
Yes, the classic scenario.
Picture, a traditional technical founder, tight deadline. What do?
Instinctively, long hours, grind it out, believing more time directly equals more progress.
Right, but they often underestimate how cognitive fatigue just tanks code quality and, well, judgment.
Exactly, because stress hits the prefrontal cortex hard. That's your hub for complex reasoning, prioritizing, strategy.
So under pressure, you might just default to what's familiar, maybe not the best solution.
Precisely. You get rushed architecture, maybe unnecessary complexity creeps in, definitely more bugs. It's a frustrating cycle.
And it leads straight to fixing things instead of building.
A very common trap.
Okay, now contrast that with the neurofounder. Their approach is fundamentally different, isn't it?
Completely. They design their workflow around the brain's actual capacity for sustained thinking.
Like chunking deep work. I've heard about those 90-minute windows.
Yeah, based on ultradian rhythms, those natural cycles of mental energy we all have. High focus, then a dip.
So the key is recognizing when your cognitive throughput, your sharpness, starts to drop.
Exactly. Instead of just pushing through mindlessly, the neurofounder might switch to lower effort tasks or just take a proper reset break.
It's about maximizing the quality of the focus time, not just the quantity.
Spot on. And they apply cognitive load theory to things like sprint planning too. They're careful not to overload the team or themselves with too many high-stakes decisions at once, maybe deferring lower-impact choices.
Treating working memory like RAM on a computer.
That's a great analogy. It's a limited resource. You can't just keep opening demanding programs without consequences.
Okay, let's unpack this. What's the outcome then for this neurofounder approach?
Well, typically you see much higher quality code, fewer regressions.
Fewer bugs means faster progress overall.
Definitely. And the architecture tends to be more deliberate, more scalable. They maintain clarity, strategic thinking, even under pressure.
So faster iteration, fewer big rewrites later, more sustainable development.
That's the goal. It respects the brain's limits and leverages its strengths.
So if you're listening and you're a technical founder, maybe recognize some of those traditional habits.
It's worth asking yourself, how often are you pushing through fatigue? What's the real cost?
It's about working smarter, aligning with your brain. Okay, let's shift gears. Case study 2, fundraising.
The pitch. Always crucial.
So the traditional founder, often very factual, right? Market size, product specs, projections.
All important stuff, of course, but sometimes it just falls flat.
Whereas the neurofounder gets that investment decisions aren't purely logical.
Right. They understand emotion plays a huge role in building that conviction, that trust.
So they craft the pitch differently to engage both emotion and logic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ethically, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Using storytelling, maybe building anticipation, tapping into mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons. So the investor kind of feels the problem, the vision.
That's the idea. Create resonance. And they're smart about presenting data too. Cognitive ease is key.
Meaning they don't just dump a wall of stats.
No, they pace it, make it easy to process. And they consciously work on building trust.
How so? Like neuroscience of trust.
Yeah, maybe through articulating a really compelling shared vision, or sometimes even showing appropriate vulnerability. Things that can trigger oxytocin.
Oxytocin, the trust hormone.
Often called that, facilitates bonding and connection.
Here's where it gets really interesting. So the outcome for the neurofounder,
They tend to be way more memorable. They build trust faster.
which could mean a higher likelihood of getting funded, even maybe earlier on.
It often does. That blend of emotional resonance and clear logic is powerful. It's not just numbers. It's a compelling story the investor buys into.
So understanding a bit about oxytocin could actually be a strategic fundraising tool.
It really can shift the dynamic.
Okay, final mini case study. Visionary leadership and behavior modeling.
This is about culture building, really.
The traditional founder might think, okay, I shared the vision deck, done. Then it's just instructions and accountability.
A common approach. But the neurofounder knows it's deeper than that. They understand mirror neurons again.
How we subconsciously mimic each other.
Exactly. And social learning theory, the neuroscience of motivation. It all ties together.
So instead of just stating the vision once,
They embed it. Through repetition, sure, but also using vivid imagery, connecting it to emotions, to salient goals, making it felt.
and crucially, they model the behavior they want to see, right? Especially under stress.
This is huge. They know the team's brains are basically syncing up with their state. If the leader is calm and focused in a crisis.
It helps the whole team stay calmer and more focused.
On a neurological level, yes. A founder consistently showing resilience. They're not just talking about it, they're wiring it into the team.
Wow, setting a neurological example.
It shapes the company's cultural DNA.
So what does this all mean? What's the outcome here?
You get a much more driven, self-reinforcing culture. The team isn't just aligned, they're inspired. They're neurologically sort of tuned to the founder's positive mindset.
That sounds like a powerful environment to build. More cohesive, higher performing.
Definitely. It moves beyond just instructions to genuine shared belief in behavior.
Okay, so these case studies show the power of this neurofounder approach. Technical work, fundraising, leadership.
It touches everything.
So let's give people some concrete steps. How can you start thinking like a neurofounder? We've got 3 actionable tips.
All right, number 1.
Start learning, or keep learning, about neuroscience. Doesn't have to be overwhelming. Little bits, steadily.
And, tuning into deep dives like this helps.
Shameless plug. Okay, second tip.
Audit your own brain habits.
Yeah.
Seriously. Where are you on autopilot? What triggers you? How do you react to uncertainty, stress, conflict?
That self-awareness piece is foundational, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the first step to any kind of rewiring. You can't change what you don't notice.
Got it. And the third tip.
Train your brain like you train your body. Neuroplasticity is real. Your brain can change.
So constantly learning, adapting, observing yourself in action.
Yeah. And crucially, taking action even when old patterns resist. Frame these as, like, neuro tools for peak performance.
Like forging a new path in a jungle. The old path, habit, is easy. The new one takes effort at first.
That's a perfect way to put it. Neuroplasticity lets you forge those new paths.
So it's about actively shaping your cognitive landscape, not just reacting.
Precisely. Moving from passive to active.
Okay, so for today's call to action, it ties right into that second tip, auditing habits.
Makes sense. Awareness first.
We'll assume you've taken a moment, reflected, and maybe identified one behavior, something you want to change, drop, or maybe even double down on.
Okay, so you've got the awareness. What next?
Develop a concrete plan. How are you actually going to make that change happen? And then this is key, stick with it. Persist until you hit that goal.
Awareness plus action equals change.
That's the formula. Remember, even small, consistent brain training efforts compound over time.
It's a long game, but the advantages are significant.
All right, that's all the brain power we have for today. Thanks for taking the time to tune in on today's episode. See you in the next one.